Today I'm going to show you how to do another Belizean specialty dish, konk soup. You're watching the Bear Pantry Show. To make the konk soup, I've got half a pound of konks here, and of course you always want to use more if you're inviting guests. And I put a little bit of that saran wrap or cellophane over it on the cutting board, and I'm going to tenderize it. Now you can always use a meat tenderizer for this, but I don't own one. So like I always tell you here at the Bear Pantry Show, we use what we have. So let's keep tenderizing the konks. And after we get this done, we're going to cut it into bite-sized pieces, and then we're going to get the stew or the soup started. So after I pound it to tenderize it, I cut it into bite-sized pieces. And as you can see, we didn't get too much. With half a pound, you would need a good pound or 2 pounds to cook a good pot of this to serve, I would say 5 or 6 people. So this right here, the most it would serve would be 3. And honestly, I'd say 2 people will eat off of this after we make this stew. So let's get over to the stove and I'll show you how to make the base part of the stew. So this is how we make the base of the stew. I put 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour in this pot, I think this is a 5-quart pot. I didn't put any butter or any water in here, just the flour. And all I'm gonna do is keep moving it around with this nylon or rubber spoon so I don't mess up my non-stick in the pot. And I'm gonna get the flour brown, just like we did with the fish stew or the stewed fish that we have at the channel already. And this is the base that I do for all my stews. I brown this flour first. I don't put the flour later to thicken the stew. I brown this first. And then when it gets brown, I'm going to add some water to make sure it's not lumpy. And then we're going to start adding our other ingredients for the stew. Now, if you see that you're stirring it and see all this smoke is coming up off of it and it's starting to smell burnt, don't be afraid to turn your fire down. I had it on medium. I'm going to turn it to low, okay? Don't let any of this frighten you and you say, oh, I have to keep the fire on the same temperature. No, you move it according to what's going on. After I turned the fire down a little bit, it started to cool off too much, so I went ahead and turned it back up on high. And here it is, the flour is brown and it's smelling a little bit burnt, but that's not bad, that's actually good. And so now what we're going to do is add the water and then stir very fast so that we don't get lumps. And I don't put any onions or ingredients in it at this point, because if you get lumps and you can't squish the lumps away at the side of the pot like this with your pot spoon, then you just get a strainer and you strain the solution through the strainer and back into the pot. And that will get rid of your lumps, and you won't lose any of your other ingredients like your onion and whatever else you're going to put in this. So I'm going to get this paste going, free of lumps. I'll let you know if I have to strain it or not, but I think I'll be able to just squish it. And then we're going to add some onions in here. We're going to add the konks. We're going to add potatoes, and you can actually add taro or cocoa. We know it as cocoa in Belize, but look that up on the internet if you're not sure what that is, okay? It's one of these good starches. But it's not cocoa like what you find in chocolate. It's actually, I guess, a vegetable you'd call that. It's in the family of potatoes, let's put it that way. And look, I didn't have to do anything to it because the lumps went away. And all I'm going to do to this now is add some more water to halfway, because we're making a stew or a soup. And I'm going to add some diced onions. I've added about 4 cups of water. And now I'm going to add some diced onions. And I'm not going to do cilantro on this one because I just don't like the way it looks in the soup. Not the taste or anything, just looks. So just a little bit of diced onions. Then I'm going to get some potato peeled and cut into bite-sized pieces. I don't have any cocoa to put in it today or any taro, so I'm not going to put any. But if you have that, you can definitely put it in. A lot of people like this stew with that in it. I've allowed the stew to cook for about 15 minutes. And a little trick, if it boils over, you can see that it was boiling over. Just put a spoon, any spoon, metallic, this rubber spoon, nylon. Just put it in there, or just hold it there and it'll take the bubbles down. I don't know why it does that, but I guess some kind of chemical thing. and it just quiets down the bubbles from the stew. So now I'm adding the konks, and you want this to be added in fairly early, even before the potato and the coco or the taro, if you're going to put that. And we're going to put some okra in this, okay? Or if you're from Belize or the Caribbean, you know it as okra. We're going to put some in this too to thicken it a little bit later. But this konks, you wanted to cook for a little while, not as long as beef, but definitely a little bit longer than chicken. So we want this to cook for a little while, and so it could be edible. If we need to add a little bit more water, we will. But for right now, we're going to leave it like this. We're going to keep an eye on it so it's not boiling over, and we're going to allow the konks to cook for a little bit. See how it was getting ready to boil over a little while ago? And I put the spoon in there and quieted it down. I don't know why it does that, but it's always done that. Any kind of stew, any kind of pasta, if it's getting ready to get wild and boil over, you stick some kind of utensil in there and it quiets down immediately. So we have to really keep an eye on this because I don't want to mess up my brand new stove. About 15 minutes after I added in the konks, I put in the potato, and I cut them like this size. You can do bite size, but I cut them like that size. I guess those are like in quarters. And I'm allowing it to cook some more. I've gone ahead and prepared the okra. I just got some frozen okra and I just cut it up into small pieces. And we're going to add this the very last when the soup's ready to be, almost done. We're going to add some powder ricotta to this. If you have paprika or paprika, you can use that to make it a darker color than this color that you're seeing right here. But we're going to add ricotta because I make everything with ricotta. And you can get that from my dad's website or from his store if you're in California. And I'll put up that website for you. Since we started with that amount of water, I had put 2 cups in right before we did the potato. Here's another 2 cups. The potato is not quite done yet, but it's more done than not. And so we're going to add the okra in. This is about a cup and a half of okra. And we're just going to let that cook so the okra can release that slime to thicken the soup. Then we're going to add some of that powder ricotta that I told you. So this is what I'm using to make the soup a little bit darker. You can use paprika or paprika like I said before. Just shaking a little bit in there. We're not measuring. And if you're using the ricotta that comes like a block of clay, you're going to want to make that into a paste and then put it through a strainer before you put it into the soup. See, some of it is trying to clump up, but it'll cook away. And let me see if I'll put a little bit more. You don't want to put too much of this or paprika because then it will start tasting of that. It'll start being the only flavor that you're going to taste in the stew. So we're going to work that in. Allow it to cook for another 15 or 20 minutes at least. And I think all in all, we've been going at this for about 45 minutes. So, but from the time we started with the brown flour paste to now, it's been about 45 minutes. So let it continue cooking. And we're going to serve this over white rice. It's about 5 minutes later after I added in the okra and the powder ricotta. See how thick it's looking? This is a nice consistency to this konk soup. I'm going to let it cook a little while longer so the okra can have an opportunity to thicken the soup. And to my viewer that always contacts me from Australia, I'm sure that you can get this meat there where you are, because I know that Australia has the world's first, longest or largest barrier reef, while Belize comes in second on that scale. And so I know you can have access to much of the seafood that I'm making. So if you make this dish or the fritters that we made in an earlier video, let me know how it comes out, okay? We're going to let this go for another 15 minutes at least, and we're going to add salt and black pepper to our taste. And we want to taste it first before we add the salt, because you know the konks, being that it's a seafood, is already salty. So we don't want to over salt this pot. So let it cook a little while longer. Here's the finished product, our konk soup. Beautiful medley of konks and potatoes and okra. It's very thick, very nice. It's spicy, but it's only spicy with black pepper. I didn't put any other pepper. You can put habanero or any pepper you like. But I don't like my foods to be too spicy hot because then I can't enjoy it. So if you're not like me and you like spicy food, I would definitely add some pepper to this. And it would have been a little bit thicker too if we add the cocoa or the taro, but I didn't have any and I really don't like that, so I don't put it in. Joe eats that more than me. So I hope you guys get an opportunity to get some konks and make this. And you know, I'll say if you can't find konks and you want to try scallop, I would try it. Maybe in the future I'll try something that would scallop, because I saw the scallops in the store and it looks just like the konks to me. So let's see, huh? Okay, before we talk about how wonderful our konk soup come out, I really have to show you this. This is the cap part of the okra. Remember I told you on that last show that we did with the fried okra that if I'm wrong and Joe is correct, I'll apologize to him on another video, right? Well, I was wrong. Some of the viewers have chimed in and they told me that that's definitely the tail end of the okra, the tail end. So Joe won, okay? So let's go back to our soup. It was spicy, it was thick, and it was very filling. Even if we didn't have it with the white rice, we were still satisfied. I hope you guys get an opportunity to make this. This is a specialty dish because the konks is so expensive. But if you can't afford to get it and make the dish, let me know. And definitely tell me if you use scallops in place of konks if you can't get this in your region. Thank you so much for watching. I love you for subscribing. Thank you for picking up the book. And until I see you again, take care.